Welcome to our Act 3 series, where I talk to some of our client families here at Metis Ireland to discover, well, what's their definition of true wealth? What does Act 3, or retiring with purpose, what does that look like? I hope you enjoy the series, and thank you in advance to my guests who are going to join me here at the studio at Metis Ireland. So, welcome to the Act 3 series, where I talk to some of our client families here at Metis Ireland and to discover a little bit more about them, and I suppose to try and find out what their definition of true wealth is, what Act 3 looks like. So I'm delighted to introduce Brendan Ring. Brendan is the CEO of Cube Printing and also CEO and founder of Cleona's Foundation. So Brendan, without further ado, Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Look, I am who I am. I come from a place called Brough, Limerick. My mum was the postmistress out there. So when we chat later on about money and savings and all of that, the first thing my mother would always do was buy you a savings book, post office book.
Right, okay.
So for all our siblings and nieces and nephews, and then the public.
Okay.
And she died a couple of years ago, but everybody said, when I met them after, it was during COVID, but after COVID was over, the one thing your mother did for us was she introduced us to saving money.
Yeah, that's an amazing value to instill early, isn't it?
Yeah, we had that. No, we were able to spend it as well. So that's kind of, the connect really. But so my father was self-employed, my mother was self-employed, and I suppose we lived on this street in Brough, and there was 7 of us. So after national school, we were sent to college.
Right.
I went to boarding school here in Munchins.
Okay.
Because my parents knew that if we stayed in the street and we were all there, we wouldn't do any study they wanted us to do better than they did in life. And that was that we were always taught that. That your job was really to bring us to the next level.
To better yourself.
Yeah, but my father had done that from his father, and and that was and stay united. It was a huge
in terms of the family unit.
The family unit at all costs.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't mean a lot of costs.
Yeah.
But so that was that. Went to Munchins. Looking back, it was good for me. At the time, like everything else in life.
You didn't love it?
Didn't love it, but met some great friends.
Yeah.
And played rugby and, had to go to mass every morning, stuff like that. So, went to Munchins, came out of Munchins. And my brother had a business here in Limerick. He had a fitted kitchen business. Well, he didn't have it at the time. He worked for somebody. He went on to own his own business. And I was there that summer, having done my leaving cert, and that was next to the School of Professional Studies.
Right.
And one of the lecturers happened to come in one day, and he said to me, "What are you going to do after summer?" And I said, "I have no idea." And he said, "You should come up to the School of Professional Studies." So I applied for industrial engineering.
Right.
So that's what I started with. And
amazing.
Yeah, went there.
Amazing. I know you a long time, and I didn't know that part of your story.
Yeah, went there, and I had to take a sabbatical for a while because, as I said, we had a post office, but we had a shop and we had a hardware store, and my father reared turkeys and potatoes and carp. We were
lots going on.
So he got sick for a while, so I went home and stayed at home for about a year and was in another college. And landed my first job then after that shortly.
Okay. And obviously, Cube has grown to a significant business at this stage. So, at what stage did Cube did you start that business, or did you enter that business?
In 1996, and the reason I did was I was made redundant in 1995.
Right. Okay.
And I worked for an American company called DD Press.
Right.
And they manufactured printing presses.
Okay.
So that's how I got into the print world, because that's all I knew really.
Yeah.
I went in as an industrial engineer. Got into the purchasing material procurement side, went down to do production operations, and then they closed that side down. So my job was made redundant. Now I did hold on to the agency for Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, and that kept us going.
Okay.
But it was very tough. I mean, back then, like, I used to get up in the morning, drive to Belfast and drive home.
Yeah.
All in one trip.
And like as I often describe stories like that, it's like you were almost a kind of an accidental entrepreneur, that you were thrust into this.
Absolutely.
This was just this is what we have to do. I've been made redundant, and what does the next stage look like?
And as I said earlier on, things when you look back on, that are quite tough. I remember my boss back then bringing me in, and he did all the plans about downsizing, and we were going to a different office in Castletroy and all that. Then he said to me, "But you're not coming." I go, "What?" I know. But the room actually spinned that day. I said, "Oh no, what am I going to do?"
Yeah.
2 kids, wife, bang.
Yeah, okay.
But
It's
then,
amazing these sliding doors moments that was the fork in the road for you. And I suppose there was one way you could have went, and you could have went into your shell and not done stuff, but maybe the family background and the fact that your parents were running their own business, you just went, right, this is an opportunity, let's go and let's pursue it.
And 3 of my siblings had their own business. One, they're not 2 of them are not survived anymore. They've passed away, unfortunately. And there's a big lesson in that, and that's what's built what I've done.
Yeah.
Having lost my 2 brothers who both had businesses.
Yeah.
And I saw those businesses close because they were the business. So that's why there was no ring or anything attached to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very important.
Yeah.
And that you built a team around you that, God forbid, if anything ever happened, that the business went on.
Yeah.
And that's the same for Cube, and it's the very same for Cleaners.
Yeah.
It's a life lesson. But I've learned a lot from that.
Okay, and obviously Cube has gone on to great things and is a very successful business.
Yep.
And yourself and your wife Terry have been kind of heavily involved in that. So tell me, you mentioned you have 2 kids, you have Colm, and then you have Cliona. So obviously Cliona is a bit of a sad story, but also an inspirational story. So tell us a little bit about Cliona.
Yeah, well, it's like being made redundant and these things that happen in life, and then you go on to, have your own business and become self-employed, and something probably was in the genes. And it's the same for Cliona. Cliona was born 1991, and unfortunately, she was diagnosed with a brain tumor when she was 7, 1998, and she survived for about 8 years, and she died, and her anniversary will be coming up shortly.
Yeah.
When she was 15, and tough, very, very tough.
Yeah.
Again, you wouldn't want it to happen. I mean, it's not like being made redundant. Of course, it's completely different. But what's come out of that is, an awful lot of life lessons, hard lessons for me personally, for Terry, for Colm, and it's changed us forever.
Yeah.
And obviously, Cliona's foundation was born from that journey that we went on with Cliona during our illness. And, that's something that we're very much dedicated to.
Yeah, and it's an inspirational organization, and it's a charity that basically provides funding for families with sick kids.
Yeah.
And I've been, I suppose, heavily involved in supporting for the last few years.
Yeah.
But I've seen firsthand it's all well and good saying, oh, it's an inspirational charity and they're doing untold work in the background. But I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen the work that you do, and we've got the Cliona's Ball coming up, and we're delighted at Metis Ireland to be the lead sponsor of it this year. And those events are all lovely, and what I always remind everybody is, at those types of events, we're the lucky ones here, and that's lovely to be raising money for Cliona's, but actually the work that your team at Cliona's are doing day in, day out in providing, there's no end to the provision that's required. Isn't that correct?
No, it's infinite. We're not going to be able to solve this problem.
Yeah,
completely. I think we know that, but we can go a long way towards doing that, and we can raise the awareness of it.
Yeah.
And last night with our board meeting, we wrote checks for €80,000 last night. When I say we wrote them, we got them approved by the board. We have a voluntary board at Cliona's. So there's 32 family checks of 2,500 going out between now and Christmas. And as we get some monies in, we'll be able to release our checks and get those out. So it's going to be busy for us now because that's huge. And at this particular time of year, you really want those to go out, Carl.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You really want them to get that 2,500.
Yeah.
So we've got to work between now and the end of the year to try and get that in somehow and support those 32 families. And we're going to get it done. We always do. And some more will drip feed too between now and Christmas.
Okay.
So it'll be demanding. There'll probably be, another 20 to 25 between now and the 20th of December.
And how much in funding would you have provided, say, this year, approximately, to various families?
I think by the end of the year, Carl, it'll be over €500,000.
Yeah, which is incredible. Like.
Yeah. Last year was 502. I got a number, and it was 215 or 14 families.
Yeah, it's changing the lives of those families who really, really need it and are in desperate need of the help.
Yeah, well, there's two things. You just said there a while ago why Carol Widger to me supports Cliona's your business Metis Ireland is because when I first met you, like you've got 4 children.
Yeah.
And I think I remember you saying you have triplets, and I know you have triplets, but what I'm saying is at the time when I didn't know that, you said I have triplets as well, and they weren't, they had to spend some time in hospital more than you thought they would, and you were so grateful that they're well and getting on with their lives, and now I know life's demanding.
Yeah, they're big and bold now.
Yeah.
They're in leaving cert,
but you recognise the fact that they were healthy.
Yeah, and I suppose also this is not about me, but I suppose my story and the reason I was so drawn towards Cliona's was that the triplets did struggle when they were very small, when they were born.
Yeah.
But we were lucky enough to be able to, I suppose, with decent jobs to kind of work our way through it. I had great employers at the time as well who were absolutely brilliant to me. But equally, in that neonatal unit, I saw families who couldn't go and visit their kids, or where one of the parents had to give up work, and then that put massive financial pressure, and that's the void you're filling. And I always say it was like, it was fate that put us together, because I knew that if I was in a position someday to help these types of people, I would. I didn't even know about Cliona's at that stage, and I was introduced to you then. And look, we've become great friends. But apart from that, I genuinely get goosebumps when I hear. I never met Cliona, but when I hear you talk about Cliona, I genuinely, today's the exact same.
Yeah,
I've got the goosebumps. But look, I suppose what I urge people to do is, to understand and appreciate how lucky you are. And I'm saying it to my own kids at home, and that's something that's really important. Come here, as a CEO of Cube, which is a very successful business, I know you have an awful lot of people working there, and then as a voluntary CEO of Cliona's, and I know the work that goes into that. How do you keep all those balls in the air? How is that working for you?
Well, the Cube piece I had fixed,
right,
in the sense that because of life's learnings, always felt that I came from an American multinational setup, right? No, I'm not going to emulate that. But I did take certain what I would consider key important resources and understanding from that experience and brought it to Cube in a very small way.
Yeah.
And the first thing is, and I know people keep saying it, is to build that team around you.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate that I have a very good business partner now. And even being here today allows me to talk about Cliona's and speak with you, Carl, because I know it's in safe hands.
Yeah.
And, so we have a team, a senior management team, who are driven to try and do the best that Cube can do. Our motto is to exceed our expectations in relation to everything we do for our customers, and they buy into that. But the key is to build that team. And if, God forbid, if anything ever happened to me, I know the Cube will still be there tomorrow for my family and for anybody else that needs it, including Cliona's. I mean, Cube has been exceptional to Cliona's.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably wouldn't have survived without them.
Okay.
And I don't mean me, I mean the company.
Yeah.
Because it gives so much back, resources and space at the beginning, the office, all that came from Cube.
Yeah.
And they provide all the print-related material, the design, huge amount of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful. And it's not mine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's ours.
Yeah.
But that team and having somebody. So now I'm able to step away from that.
Yeah.
And now we've got Cliona's. And I think we're at a position that I have a number of pillars in my own head that I think we need to achieve as a charity, that I can then too hand over Cliona's in time.
Yeah.
And just sit on that board and always be there as until my last breath.
Yeah.
And that's what I really, really want. And if I'm needed to be brought to whatever I need to go and do,
I've no doubt about it.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. But you know what I'm saying? I mean,
I do.
That's what I want to do. So that team's nearly there now.
Yeah.
And we've reoccurring income streams in Cliona's now.
Yeah.
Like our Camino for the transition year, our school engagements program.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Like next year, I know that's going to bring in 300,000.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, but I came from a place with Cliona's, like it was 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that team has been built now.
Yeah.
The funding has nearly at where we need to be for this stage of our growth, and we've got some great people, and we've got people in positions. Again, building the team and having people there that can actually bring cleaners to the next stage. I'm not saying today or tomorrow, but over the next couple of years.
Yes, yeah.
Very strong board. I work with them. As I said, we were there last night approving those. So it's not as difficult as it looks. I make it more difficult on myself because of my nature. But look, I'm very proud of both organisations.
Yeah, very good. To change tack just a small bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've so much experience now at this stage. What advice would you give to a younger Brendan Ring? Say that guy who's coming out of college at that stage. What is there a word or a sentence or two that you would maybe mention to that younger Brendan?
Well, I think for me, this is positive, negative. Fear can drive you to places where it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like when you have to wake up in the morning and you have to make sure you've got to make that sale.
Yeah.
When it's in Cube, when I started out, and it literally was a notepad, and who did I know from where, and like you had to be done.
Yeah.
So that fear factor drives you, right? And if you go to cleaners, again, waking up going, we got no money for these applications this month.
Yeah, we got to help these families.
Where am I going to get it? Yeah. And you're saying to yourself, I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Our Cube is going to be successful. I don't care.
You're going to make it happen.
Going to make it happen, but it's all of a fear factor. So that's the positive.
Yeah.
The negative, that too is right. That can come into your own personal life.
Yeah.
So now that works in reverse.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually, what I've been doing for the last probably nearly 6-9 months is to reverse that.
Okay.
Do not be so. For the younger Brendan would say is just go ahead and do it. Made redundant. Try. I know I didn't. I panicked. I'd be honest, right? But what I'm saying is, don't try and do it if you can, and go with it.
Yeah.
And when we went to Cliona, we more than panicked. We fell apart.
Yeah.
And it's not that you wouldn't. I don't mean it that way. What I mean is, try and know that you will get through it.
Yeah.
And don't be as worried or fearful about it. Now, I'm still trying to understand that journey.
Yeah.
So I haven't got a crack, but that's my advice.
But life does have a habit of working out, and
You said it, Carl.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, brilliant. So obviously at Metis Ireland, we are lifestyle financial planners, and we're looking to do kind of holistic financial plans for our client families. Can I be so bold or so greedy to ask, what is financial planning? What has it brought to you and Terry and to Colin and to the Ring family? What would you say are the main benefits of financial planning?
Well, number one is, and it goes back to that fear factor and worrying about things, peace of mind.
Yeah.
That you know that there's a plan there. And it can, as you have shown me, that can change according to how life changes.
Yes, of course.
But at least you, Carl, and your team are looking after that for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a warrior.
Yeah.
And it's great to know where you're going. And I've still certain steps to get to where I really want.
Yeah.
But they're in front of me.
Yeah.
And I trust those, that information I'm getting from Metis and from you, and I know for sure that, that it's a good partnership between both of us.
Yeah.
I know we're friends, but there's business as well.
Yeah.
And it's good to know that you're looking after our money for our family, for Terry and I, and for our son Colin as well. And because we've been through a tough time, and lots of people have been, it's nice to know financially that things are okay. Because when even Cliona was ill, it was great to have the money to be able to spend time with her.
Yes.
Or for Terry to give up her job.
Yeah.
And I walked away from Q for 6 months at the end of Cliona's life. And I couldn't do that unless I was financially in a position to do that.
Yeah.
And I had a business that would allow me to go.
Yeah.
So going back to Metis, it's the very same.
Yeah.
It's great to have that peace of mind.
Yeah.
To know that you can trust Metis with your monies, and that we have a plan that we're working towards.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't get to where we want right now, but it'll come in time.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Hakuna Matata. Isn't that what it comes from?
Yeah. Hakuna Matata. I love it. And just a nice little segue into the next thing. Like, what would your definition of true wealth be? And you kind of mentioned it earlier on. I without putting words in your mouth, but.
Yeah.
You do like to live life right now. So would that kind of be part of your definition of true wealth?
Definitely. I mean, you could forever maybe save every single penny and go back to that post office book. But once a certain amount of money got on that, like I wouldn't have got my car.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even a banger at £800 or whatever it was back then.
Yeah.
So I think you got to get the balance right.
Yeah.
I tend to go a little bit on the other side.
Yeah.
But that's because I've seen so many things like, my two brothers not getting to enjoy their wealth. They didn't like.
Yeah.
One passed away at 34 and the other 45.
Yeah.
And then you Cliona at 15. So you say, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
But money is very important.
Yeah.
It helps you get through. But in saying that your wealth is your health, or your health is your wealth, I should say, in reverse. But the peace of mind of knowing too that you have it and you can do certain things. And like we would have plans to do stuff in our lives, and I can see that happening for us.
Yeah.
With the help of God.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? From a financial point of view. So that's very, very important.
But I remember getting a text from you, I think it was last year, and you were saying that yourself and Terry were getting a hot air balloon ride.
Oh yeah, Portugal.
But things like this, these are the things that...
Yeah.
Why would you wait until you're 78 to do these things? To go and do them now.
Yeah.
And that's what financial planning should be about. It's not like, give us all your money and we'll put it into a pension fund. You're not getting that now till you're 60 or 65 or 70. It's, you're a great proponent of... Let's go and do it. Yeah. Let's live these experiences.
No, that's very important. And I know that we went for a walk there recently, and the subject came up not in business but as friends. And you actually said to me, Brendan, like, go and do these things.
Yeah.
And I mean, you said that to me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And it resonated. And you didn't say that you thought about it. You just said that. Yeah, go. You can do it. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Whatever they are, and that's very important. The balance is important.
Yeah.
But you know what? Doing it outweighs a bit more than the financial side of it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And again, that belief that you're going to recreate income streams coming in again from the business and so forth.
Yeah.
So there is logic behind it as well.
Yeah, of course.
But enjoy it because you don't know.
Yeah, and you're not doing anything like catastrophic in terms of your finances. You're just having these experiences, which is what life should be about.
Yeah.
And I suppose like the next thing I wanted to talk about, but we've kind of talked about it. Right. It's like, what does this is about Act 3. So it's about people who are already in Act 3, because I hate the word retirement. It's not retirement. It's like, it's the next phase. So like, but if we wanted to use that retirement word, what does retiring with purpose look like? But I guess it looks exactly like what you're doing already, does it?
Like, I think you've nailed it. It took me a little bit of time to actually see through all of that.
Yeah.
And I actually went back to the old Brendan.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit worrying about it.
Yeah.
But when I really stood back, and like, I mean, I've gone and I've worked on this.
Yeah.
I put time into wondering what this is all about.
Yeah.
And this third act and the next phase, it's actually the hardest piece of your life in relation to getting it right. Because when you're young, starting off your businesses, right, you have something to go towards. You put in all that energy, so you're just doing it.
Yeah.
And 30s, 40s, 50s. But then when you get in later in life and you're looking at that retirement, even though that's not going to happen per se, it is the biggest one to kind of manage. And the hardest thing to do is to do nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody saying one time that they wouldn't do something because that day they were getting their hair cut.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's not right either.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You need to be doing things, but that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Is that I'm actually on that journey, but I'm blessed because Cliona's is there for me. I'm still in Cube. I don't have to be there all the time. I can come in here this morning.
Yeah.
I can do lots of nice things.
Yeah.
So I think I've got it. But in saying that, I'm only realising it now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
A funny story, you mentioned the walk that we went on recently. And so we were walking down the river down by UL, and there was two guys standing at the side of the river, fishing, just standing there.
Yeah.
And we both looked at each other and went, we're definitely not there yet now.
When I said I'd like to be able to do it, you said you're definitely not there.
I know. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I hear you. That's a journey to this, like, almost self-contentment, this peace with yourself that you could do it.
Yeah.
And certainly work in progress for me, Brendan.
And for me, Karen.
Yeah. Okay, so before I ask you the last question, how do people find out more about Cliona's Foundation? We have the website up here, but It's Cliona's Foundation. What's the website address?
Cleaners.ie.
Clionas.ie.
Very
And
simple.
you can go and find out more about the charity there. Please, please, please do donate. We're really looking forward to the Cliona's Ball, which is coming up very soon, and we're delighted and honoured to be the lead sponsor. And
I should have said thank you for that, Carl.
No, not at all.
No, but genuinely.
Yeah.
I mean, to take the cost out of running an event of that size and magnitude, and being able to part that, and the money's coming and going to the families.
Yeah.
I mean, that's monumental. That's like having a business and somebody said, I'll take care of the costs and you bring in all the income.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how big it is.
Well, look, it's genuinely our honour. So the last question. Have you a book or a podcast or something that you could recommend to our viewers, and something that has inspired you throughout your journey?
I mentioned earlier on, I had to find some solutions in relation to coming to this stage in life, right? And trying to balance a few things. So I've read it several times. It's a book by a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
It's kind of changing the habits to change your life. But it's not just about a book. This is about like the theory behind this is that everything you absolutely do is driven by your thoughts, right? Yeah. So your thoughts create your emotions, and then your emotions cause you to do things.
Okay.
So that's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
And that then becomes your personality.
Yeah.
So if there are parts of that are not good for you, you've got to identify them. So you just actually call them out to yourself, and then you work on them. And you say, even though these are the things I don't want to have in my life anymore.
Yes.
So you've got to get to. So there's a lot of meditation involved in it.
Yeah.
It's really deep, and there's no end to it.
Okay.
It's something that I love doing. It's given me peace of mind. So that book, Dr. Joe's book, is super, and it's part of my life now, and it's helped me so much.
Okay.
But you've got to be a place in life that you require it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's very apt right now.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's nearly as monumental as some of the bigger things that happened in my life.
Okay,
in relation to change.
Yeah.
It's like changing your habits, changing your life. But I mean, this will change. Like everything we do in life, Carl, right? Every day, 80 to 90% of them are habitual.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing every morning. We get up, you get out of bed, we make the bed, we brush our teeth, we have lunch, we breakfast, drive in the car. You know, you even see automobile, they could drive you to work now.
Yeah.
We're so habitual, right?
Yeah.
But we never stop and think are some of those things that's something that are not good for us.
Yeah.
So that's what it's challenging to do. And change them.
But I hear you about, and this is about Act 3, so this is about potentially mindset change. And
yes.
I hear what you're saying. You have to be ready to read that book. You have to, because sometimes if you read, that kind of stuff can almost mess with your head if you're not ready.
That would mess with your head.
But it is really important to understand that Act 3 is a new phase. It's entirely different, and you need to mentally prepare yourself as much as financially prepare, but you also need to physically prepare, I guess, as well. So there's lots of different things going on. Brendan, you're an inspiration, my friend. You really are. And
come on.
No, I love talking to you. I every single time we meet.
Yeah.
You inspire
You've been
me.
very good to me.
No, and
in business and in personally. So
yeah,
and I mean that. I'm not just saying that.
a pleasure, my friend.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.